Are you thinking about opening a health savings account in HSA, or does your employer offer one? What are health savings accounts, their advantages and disadvantages, and when are they necessary? I'm Tracy Capelman. Join me right now for your Wealth Health. Hello and welcome to your Wealth Health, the show focused on helping you manage your money. I'm your host, Tracy Capelman, and I am here once again with Eric Brenner, a certified financial planner with nearly 30 years of experience. Eric's the founder and CEO of Hilltop Wealth Solutions. As a true fiduciary, Hilltop Wealth Solutions prides itself on building long-term relationships with clients to help them achieve financial independence and leave a legacy for their family. Eric, we are so glad you're here. Now, this week we're going to discuss health savings accounts. What are they? When are they necessary? And what are their advantages and disadvantages? And Eric, there are so many options out there for health insurance. Man, it seems to be getting more and more expensive. And even with insurance, people are often left with considerable out-of-pocket medical expenses as a result of the high deductibles. So my understanding is, Eric, that health savings accounts are really another option to help lighten the load of these medical expenses. Talk a little bit about that. Give us a little history behind HSAs and talk to us a little bit about how they work.
Yeah, sure, Tracy. Thank you. So there's FSAs, HSAs, MSAs. So we got all these AAAs, and flexible spending account, just to be clear, is not what we're talking about. That's an account that was created many years ago. A lot of people have it. You can put money in pre-tax, and then you can pay for things like childcare, other out-of-pocket expenses, and so forth. However, it does not roll over, so you use it or lose it. And really what happened back in 2003 or so in the George W. Bush's presidency, he did this as part of expansion for Medicare. And really what it's come about is, this cost of insurance. And again, it's more to help spread the risk, spread the cost between the employee and the employer. Just like retirement benefits and pensions, there's less of those. Healthcare is a huge expense for employers, and to be able to continue to provide some sort of healthcare, they came out with a health savings account. And ideally what it is it's a higher deductible insurance plan. So your deductibles are higher. But then you're able to put in pre-tax money into a savings account that you can also invest, that doesn't use it or lose it, can be rolled over, and you can use it well into retirement.
Wow. Well, with that as giving us a little background there, the evolution of America's healthcare industry is really quite fascinating. So how exactly do HSAs work with health insurance and medical expenses?
Yeah, so how they work is it is a higher deductible plan. So, you might have a $6,000-$7,000 deductible. So that may scare people sometimes. Oftentimes, though, they do have co-pays when it comes to routine physicals, office visits, and so forth. So some of the advantages are the funds can be withdrawn at any time. You can make contributions. So, there is a limit to contributions, but it's quite high, over $7,000 for a family per year. One of the big ones is it's tax advantaged, and you can roll it over. So we're seeing folks that are saving into these plans, and many employers, Tracy, now have maybe a choice. They have the HSA plan, and then they have kind of a more traditional plan. So the employee can choose. And if they save into this and they max out their amount, they can roll it over, and they take it with them. So it's their money. So wherever you change jobs, they take it with them. And then it can be accessed for things that are not covered under insurance, glasses, dental costs, things like that. And these HSA providers have a debit card. So you literally can give them your debit card and it comes right out of the HSA plan. And you also can invest it. So we caution people not to go aggressive with those plans, but you can invest the proceeds. And so there's a lot of flexibility that comes with them.
What are the downsides?
Yeah, there's always downsides, right? So there's upsides and then there's downsides. So the high deductibles can be really hard to be affordable. So if somebody has a lot of medical expenses, maybe they're not able to save in the pre-tax. So they have this high deductible and they're putting money into the health savings account portion, but then they need to use that money to pay for those expenses. So that's one. So it's really challenging to maybe for some people to put that money aside. The tendency is to go without important medical procedures, maybe because they have a high deductible, go, well, I don't need to go to the doctor. So that's one of them, is as well as a disadvantage. There could be some not covered options there compared to a traditional plan. So that's another disadvantage. So there are certainly some disadvantages. I will say that we are seeing more and more of these within the marketplace, within the employer or the companies offering these as maybe an option, given the employee, you do a more traditional plan or you do a health savings account plan.
I would bet there are plenty of people who don't even really understand this completely, don't know it exists maybe. Are there any rules regarding when the funds can be taken out of an HSA or restrictions?
No, the restrictions are, it's got to be medical based. I mean, but the list is pretty lengthy. As I said, a lot of things that are not covered maybe by a traditional plan, eyeglasses, dental work, things like that. We've seen it really helpful in retirement. So if somebody gets to, retirement age and they have this bank of money that's kind of set aside for healthcare. Well, one of the things that we see people spend a lot of money in retirement, they spend a lot of money on in retirement is dental work. I often joke that I send more money out to clients for dental work than just about anything because dental work's expensive. These HSA plans can be a really good benefit for that. And so it also makes people feel good that they have a pre-tax, after-tax vehicle to actually pull money from for their medical expenses. So there really is some very, very good benefits. And again, I think this is probably a growing area and you're going to see more employers offer HSA plans.
That's a great explanation. And Eric, I've heard some of my friends talk about their employer contributing to their HSA. So I guess others can contribute funds along with yourself, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So what we see is some employers will make a contribution to the HSA plan. So, there still is the underlying insurance. So you still have that insurance plan that's higher deductible, and maybe that employer makes a contribution to that. But you also have them maybe making a contribution to the HSA plan as well. We encourage people, especially if you're at kind of that last phase before retirement, if you can max these out to your maximum amount, it really makes some sense because, as I said, it will come in helpful and handy down the road in retirement.
Absolutely. Any other advantages you hadn't mentioned to the HSAs?
I think that, it's just there are, like I said, wellness visits and things like that are offered up. And so you don't have to pay the full boat there. One of the things that I think we work with a couple healthcare professionals and we sit down with them or the clients sit down with them and really review what has been their costs medically. Are they taking a lot of prescriptions? Okay. Those kinds of things. The other piece of it is that when you have this and you give them the debit card, it's been a negotiated rate. So, the insurance company still can negotiate, or they have their rates for cost of coverage of things, but you get a negotiated rate. So again, I think it needs to be looked at and considered. And what I've found is depends on the situation, but when people have a choice, again, especially if they don't have a lot of medical expenses now, they're kind of leaning more towards this HSA plan.
Yeah, very interesting. And Eric, we kind of briefly talked about the disadvantages, and we'll go back to that just for a moment so everybody's clear. But I understand you have a special offer today for some of our viewers that might need some guidance or a second opinion on complicated financial matters like the ones we're discussing today.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's multiple factors, and we talk about multiple factors, retirement planning, taxes, income stream planning, healthcare is another issue. And, healthcare, again, is a cost that's not going to go down. And so offering up a second opinion, we start, Tracy, with a 30-minute introductory phone call, find out more about the situation, determine whether or not it makes sense to actually meet either via virtually Zoom or meet in person. And then we go from there. We're not high pressure. We don't sell products, investment nor healthcare products, but we will help you and guide you along the way to make sure that you're making the right financial decisions.
Yeah, and these complicated days are so helpful. Now, Eric, let's go back for just a moment and discuss, some possible disadvantages associated with HSAs. We did talk about the fact that sometimes it's just difficult for people to put aside that much money. What else can you add to that list?
Yeah, so putting aside the money certainly is one of them. And so that's a disadvantage. Again, really what their situation is, if they've got outgoing medical expenses, and they don't want to have this high deductible. So basically they never can catch up. They can put in money into this plan, but then they have the expenses and they need to use the money. So that's another disadvantage to it. When you switch plans, you want to make sure that, are the providers, are the doctors that you want to see in your plan. So, that's
Absolutely.
another piece of it. What is covered and what's not covered. That's another piece of it. Limits on what is covered and not covered. That's another piece of it. So again, multiple different things that come into play when you're making healthcare decisions.
Absolutely. These are all important details to keep in mind when deciding whether or not you need an HSA. And Eric, I'm sure you really recommend that people take their time when they're making these kind of decisions and not rush into anything, right?
Yeah, I do recommend that. And partly due to, you wouldn't want to look back and go, man, that would have been really nice to analyze and have some of this, because this is retirement savings. This is having money that's set aside to pay for those things in a tax favored way. So, it's a tax favored way versus if you're gonna have to pay for glasses, let's say, or dental work out of pocket, you probably are not able to deduct that. You're just paying for it. So it's not really tax advantage. This is paying for things in a tax favored way.
Absolutely. Well, great information, Eric, on HSAs and deciding whether they're right for you. And that's going to do it for this edition of Your Wealth Health. For Eric Brenner and the entire Hilltop staff, I'm Tracy Capelman. Thanks for watching and stay wealthy, everyone. We hope you found this discussion helpful today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for new content weekly.